Hello. Welcome to my Somatic Experience blog. My intention is to share with you my experience and my experiences around dealing with soma and processing of issues or pains or discomfort or traumatic holdings throughout the body. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan. I am a body worker. I do massage therapy. My work largely focuses on myofascial release. And I am a pretty active meditator. I do sort of Vipassana style interoceptive based meditation, that is meditation that goes into the physical body, and meditation that is focused on experiencing the sensations of the body, the soma, your interoception. And I've started this YouTube channel, and I've been sharing some postures, some different sitting positions that are good to practice meditation in, that are good to practice in general, especially if they present you with some issues, with some discomforts or challenges while you are trying to do them. And I've also been sharing some meditations, some guided meditations, interoceptive meditations. Today, I thought I would walk you through or just share with you my process a bit of getting into my physical body, in hopes that you may find some insight into it or some benefit into it. A lot of times with the body, it can be really challenging for me to share knowledge of the body, because I know my experience of the body, but I don't know somebody else's experience of the body. And while I do have a lot of experience working with people, and so I have accumulated that collective knowledge and that knowledge of others' experiences. Everybody is unique, and so even if two people are presenting with sort of the same pain, the same symptoms, what they may be needing, or what process they would best be to follow to work those issues out, can be very different. They can be very different. And so this weekend I was working. This weekend I was working around the house. I was doing some woodworking. I've been building this Murphy bed cabinet. If you know me, the next time you come over, I'll show it to you. Or I'll post it to Instagram so you can see it. And I've been staining the wood. So I cut everything and I was staining the wood. So all weekend I was working very low to the ground. I was in a squat all weekend. And with that, I've been experiencing a lot of low back pain, which is not something I experience all the time. And then neck pain as well, right? So as I'm squatting down, working, I am working out my hips a lot. I feel a lot going on around my sit bones and then my glutes. And then as my hips start to tire, my back ends up rounding. And so I think that's where my low back pain comes from. And then because I'm also working low to the ground, as my back is rounding, my neck is craning forward, and so most of my back is going to be stretched along. The muscles of my back are going to be stretched along the arc, and then in my neck, the muscles in back of my neck are tight and have been shortened all weekend. So I am feeling some neck discomfort as well. And so today, done with the work-ish, I have a little bit of finishing up to do, but the bulk of it is done. And so now I am wanting to restore my body, right? I'm feeling sort of sore, I'm feeling sort of stiff, I'm groaning a little bit when I walk, or when I move more so probably than when I walk. When I bend over feels challenging, and I'm having to be very careful, very mindful not to round my back when I bend over for something. I'm having to get into a squat, or maybe take a knee to the ground oftentimes, just to try and keep my back upright, because it's just feeling a little on edge. So I'm going to try and get that feeling better, and join me, and hopefully you can find some insight into this. So because I've been working, I'm feeling a little tired, right? So I'm going to start in a supine position. That is, I'm going to start laying on my back. And even just laying on my back here. So I have my feet planted on the floor, and I have my knees bent. This is to allow my low back to be firmly on the floor. If I don't do that, if I leave my legs long, my low back is inclined to come up, and so I can fit something in there, and I can feel that my low back is not totally on the floor without my knees bent. And so bending my knees allows my low back to fall into the floor and get some relief. So even just doing this motion, I could feel some decompression in my lumbar spine. And because I've been craning my neck all weekend, I can sort of tell that my neck is wanting to pull back some more. I can see it in the mirror, or in the camera here. If you have a mirror, you can sort of see my chin is going up a little bit, rather than my nose going up. My chin is wanting to go up, and it's tight in the back of my neck, and it's not something that's super easy to be aware of necessarily for me. And so I'm gonna bring a little book here behind my head, sort of just at that back bony knob there, right below it, just to sort of help me extend my neck. And when I'm doing this, I'll just sit here. So I will, when I find a position, right, my inclination is to stay there until I feel called to move. So this position feels very restorative. This feels like a position I could fall asleep in right now, take a nap right now. For the sake of this video, I won't do that. Another thing you can try with your neck, being here, I'm very aware that my low back is responding really well to this. So some options: laying on your back like this. Planting the feet on the floor is going to be very gentle. This feels very gentle. It feels very easy. You can put your feet up. I've got a little ledge in front of me, a little windowsill in front of me that my feet are on. If I had a chair, if I were actually on the floor and I had a chair in front of me, my legs are sort of the right length, that they form a 90 just resting on the seat of a chair, which feels really good. So this too is very restorative, especially working on my feet all weekend. I feel like I'm going to get a little bit of relief in my feet. The blood, the pressure that my feet have been experiencing all weekend this is sort of giving them time to breathe and feel easy. And because of my setup here and all this, it feels right for me to spread my legs out right now, which is going to sort of be opening up some of this. I also really feel this this expansion in my low back, opening my legs up. So I feel the amount that my back is pushing into the floor here, it feels pretty central down the spine. And then when I open this up, I sort of feel like my back just sort of flattens out. And so in addition to down my spine, I sort of feel it down the sides of my back as well, into my QL, my quadratus lumborum, which is then going to go around to my obliques. Which just feels really good. I could stay here for a long time. And then another option with this that I really like sometimes is to plant my feet on a wall. And this way, once my feet are on a wall, you can sort of scoot your butt closer. Again, my low back. Oh, there's going to be a lot more pressure here on my low back. A lot more of all this weight of my leg is sort of going down into my low back. Scooting my butt towards the wall also really gets me into my hips, right? So this is sort of the squatting position I was in all weekend. The difference is here I'm supported, so I don't actually have to work to hold myself into this position. And that can be a really beneficial technique. That's a very beneficial therapeutic technique that I use with my clients a lot. I try to use it myself a lot. If you've experienced, trauma, an injury of some sort in a specific body position, oftentimes it can be helpful to return to that position to heal something that may still be there. And so if I maybe stretch something, strain something this weekend in this squat, right? Like if I felt something pull and it felt a little challenged still, it felt a little in danger maybe, like I'm at risk for hurting myself more, or doesn't want to return back to normal. I might get into this position so that my body can be in that position where it experienced that strain and then feel safe and supported in that position. Feel, I'm safe here. I can shut off my defensive mechanism. And so again, I feel like more pressure pushing into my low back, which feels really nice. It feels very supportive. I feel very supported. It feels very grounding. It feels very nurturing, I guess. So the support feels nurturing. And then I also feel, just some stretching, especially since I have my legs wide, right? Like you don't have to have your legs wide for this. You can have them closer together. I'm still working with my legs wide. And, I can feel sort of just some nice space in my hips, and then in my sort of inner thighs, up near my pubic bone, my adductors, what brings my legs together. Those feel like they're stretchy. My adductors are sort of tight, so whenever I'm in this position, my adductors are going to end up stretching a little bit. And that's part of why I get into this position. This position is actually really nice for that, for me. When I'm doing yoga and thinking about doing the splits or something, you know, I'll be like, oh yeah, I should do some of this to help me get into here. And you know, you can even force it out a bit more if you want to get more into that action. So another option with the neck that can be nice. We're talking about being supported. And like the low back, right, you know, the back is a series of S curves. I'm looking at two places at once while I draw an S. And so our neck and our lumbar spine are sort of mirrored in their curves. So the neck also wants to pull away from the floor generally. You know, even if your head is on the floor. And so to encourage the neck to be flat on the floor, you can look down. So, you know, you can imagine yourself giving yourself a double chin. I'll just try and look at my chin or try and look at the end of my beard. And even then, if your neck's not in contact with the floor, you can introduce a little bolster, so just a little support. So again, this is an opportunity for the back to be supported. And in this position, it's going to be supported. And when I do this, I think it was actually looking down. When I was actively looking down, I sort of felt the tension move up into my thoracic spine, so it's sort of in my lower thoracic spine. You know, sort of maybe those floating ribs, just the last couple of ribs. And it's moving up. And again, I think it's, you know, from having my back curved all weekend, so it was stretched long. So in the series of S curves, you know, the lumbar spine curves, and when you're laying on the floor, the lumbar spine curves up, it curves in towards the body, the thoracic spine curves down and curves away from the body. And so that curve is just really accentuated when you're bent over. And so here, lifting my arms up overhead helps me stretch that out a bit, you know, feel longer in the spine. And then when I did that, I took a deep breath into my belly, big diaphragmatic breath, right? The breath should start from down here. And when I did that, when I expanded my belly, when I made my belly and my ribs flush, I felt that tension in my thoracic spine dissipate. So I don't notice it anymore. Since I've been talking, it's sort of been processing out. And now I don't feel it anymore. Now I'm back in my hips. My hips are starting to feel a little tight, I guess, from being in this position. And I feel it a bit in my sacrum. And so I may do some more work just down the spine. Sort of flip around for you here again. And so now I'm going to introduce a bolster. So I'm feeling it. So after we moved through that last one, I was feeling it in my hips. I also started to feel it in my sacrum. So I feel it, you know, sort of low down in my sacrum. and then in the series of S curves, the lumbar spine, and then the sacrum. Oh no, sorry, other way around. Lumbar spine and sacrum. And so I'm gonna explore the sacrum a little bit. So this is a foam roller. So this foam roller is nice because it lays across the length of the back and allows you to just sort of fold over it. You can also use a rolled up towel, a rolled up blanket, a ball. So here I'm getting into my hips again a bit. And in order to feel straight in my spine, I've lifted up my head, so I'm sort of contracting. I've got some support here. If this wasn't here, my belly would be really contracted. And then lifting up my head, I'm sort of contracting my throat, my chest a bit, the front of my torso. And so this is fascially speaking, the front line is all one channel, and so abs into the throat, into the neck, it's all going to be sort of a fascial train, if you will. So I'm shortening up this whole train. And right now I feel like I'm largely doing it for my neck. I try and make sure my tongue is pressed up against the roof of my mouth and the back of my throat to help hold me up. And I look down. And so I feel like right now I'm probably stretching out the back of my neck. So like I said, the back of my neck was sort of contracted all weekend. And here I am doing the opposite. I'm working the opposite muscles, and it's hard. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm straining. Ugh. And so following up that just sort of intense, intense for me, held position, I introduce a movement, just to sort of get things moving. And I was working a little bit faster there than I normally would. In part because I've been experimenting with faster motion in my own body. I usually have water on hand when I'm rolling around on the floor doing this stuff. So I sort of got up and got out of that, in part because that felt pretty intense on my neck. Which is both from this weekend, working this weekend, but my neck is also sort of one of my chronic places of issues. One of the places that I hold some of my deeper stuff, and so whenever I'm working on something in the body, almost inevitably it ties into my neck, and I'll become aware of my neck and the role my neck is playing. And when I'm working through the body, in my experience, the body is like very complex, and these traumas we hold are very complex, and they're from a multitude of sources. And so in order to address them, right, like the work I was doing this weekend, that's a pretty easy, very superficial. I'm hitting it as soon as that's over. And so I don't anticipate to have strained low back after this. My low back feels pretty good. I might do this again, tomorrow, maybe later today. I may do some more chest opening, like flexion, I guess, going in the opposite, or extension rather, going, stretching my spine back and open, especially in my chest, after bending over all weekend. But so that's a pretty superficial problem, but a lot of this chronic stuff that we experience, the chronic pains or sort of, postural holdings, or limitations in what we can do, limitations in range of motion. These are all sort of chronic issues, and chronic issues are, in my experience, never a quick fix. There's a lot of processing to do around them, and working through them happens in layers and steps, and and so this is part of that, and part of what I had to do with my neck was just clearing what I did this weekend. So there's, even as you clear old stuff, there's new stuff to come in to clear. But I think that's what I wanted to share with you today. I'm feeling pretty good in my body. I feel like I could lay down some more. I might lay down after this and rest in just a supine position. And I might fall asleep. I might take a nap. But hopefully you found some insight into this. If you're experiencing low back pain or neck pain, a lot of what I just went through might be stuff that you would be benefited by exploring. And I hope you will. And I hope you find ease and relief in it. And I'll thank you for joining me. And if you're interested, like I said, you can check out my channel. I do have some other videos on meditative postures. Sitting positions is what I have up now, and I have some meditations as well, sort of body-based still meditations. Take care of yourself. Thanks for joining me. Maybe I'll see you soon.